For as long as people could remember, the night sky had been a mystery filled with endless questions. Were humans alone? Was someone out there watching from another corner of the stars? For years, scientists sent signals, built stronger telescopes, and dreamed of hearing a reply. Then one morning, everything changed. At first, it seemed like any other day in the control room of the International Observatory. Screens glowed, machines hummed quietly, and experts from every nation sat waiting for the usual streams of data. But when the signal came, it wasn't noise. It was clear, patterned, and repeated every 11 seconds. It wasn't natural. The message came from deep space, from beyond Pluto, carrying a structure no one could explain. Within minutes, people across Earth knew. Humanity was no longer alone. Governments rushed to respond. Meetings were held behind closed doors, and within hours, news channels started showing words like first contact, extraterrestrial message, and peaceful intent. People filled the streets cheering, crying, or simply staring at the night sky in silence. Humanity had dreamed of this for centuries, and now it was real. Soon, a plan was made. A single ship would be sent to meet the alien visitors at the edge of the solar system. It was a massive international effort. Engineers, scientists, and soldiers worked together to prepare the vessel, sleek, white, and equipped with every system known to humankind. It was called the Aurora Dawn. Unlike warships or deep space probes, this one carried symbols of peace, flags from every nation, and panels engraved with words from hundreds of human languages. The message was clear: humanity came in peace. Months of preparation followed. The world watched live broadcasts showing astronauts training, diplomats rehearsing phrases, and engineers checking every system twice. Every detail mattered. Even a small mistake could change how the new species saw them. People stayed awake late at night, talking about what aliens might look like, how they might speak, and what kind of world they came from. The fear was there, but so was excitement. When the launch day finally arrived, billions tuned in. The Aurora Dawn lifted into the sky with a slow, steady glow. Cameras showed the blue curve of Earth fading into the black sea of space. Families gathered around screens in living rooms, schools, and cafes. For the first time in history, all nations shared one heartbeat, one dream: to meet the unknown peacefully. Weeks passed as the ship traveled beyond Mars, then Jupiter. The crew aboard the Aurora stayed busy. Some ran systems checks. Others studied the alien signal again and again, trying to find hidden meanings in the rhythm of its pulses. They practiced communication using mathematical symbols, light sequences, and sound frequencies. They didn't know if it would work, but it was all they had. One quiet day, when the ship was floating in the shadow of Jupiter's great red storm, a light appeared far in the distance. It wasn't a star. It was moving, slow and deliberate, as if searching for them. The bridge filled with hushed voices. Sensors confirmed it. An unknown object was approaching, matching their coordinates exactly. Humanity's first meeting was about to happen. The alien vessel came into view, and even the most experienced astronauts were speechless. It was vast, larger than any ship humans had ever built, its surface shining like polished stone. Lines of blue light pulsed along its sides, forming patterns that looked almost alive. It made no sound, no visible exhaust, no sign of weaponry. It drifted gracefully toward the Aurora Dawn and then stopped, perfectly still. For several long minutes, nothing happened. Both sides stared at each other through the void. Then, a soft glow appeared at the center of the alien ship, projecting a series of symbols into space, shapes, colors, and repeating tones. The human crew scrambled to record and analyze every detail. It was communication. The aliens were trying to speak. Messages were exchanged through light and sound. Slowly, the two sides found common ground. Circles meant unity. Lines meant direction. A single flash meant acknowledgement. The alien response grew smoother, clearer, and more structured with every cycle. For the first time, humans felt they were truly being understood. Back on Earth, news networks showed the footage live. The world, held its breath as scientists translated each new pattern. Children watched from classrooms, pointing excitedly at the glowing shapes. Commentators called it the greatest moment in human history. For once, the world wasn't divided by borders or beliefs. Everyone was united by one emotion: hope. In the following hours, the alien ship began transmitting more complex images, scenes that looked like oceans, mountains, and structures that could be cities. The scientists aboard Aurora Dawn interpreted these as signs of peace. It seemed the visitors wanted to share their world, their story. Every crew member smiled, feeling part of something far greater than themselves. Even the soldiers, who had been silent since the beginning, relaxed a little. The ship's defensive system stayed offline, untouched. There was no reason to expect danger. After all, every signal had shown goodwill. The aliens hadn't made a single hostile move. The commander of Aurora Dawn spoke quietly over the comms, saying that this day would be remembered for centuries. The message was clear: we are not alone, and we are not enemies. But far from the bright lights and camera feeds deep within the ship's control room, a small group of analysts continued monitoring the surroundings. Their job was simple: keep an eye on background radiation and gravitational readings. Normally it was routine work, but something didn't sit right. One of them noticed strange flickers in the data, tiny shifts that didn't match the alien ship's known position. It looked like echoes, as if another large object was nearby but invisible to the scanners. The readings were sent back to Earth for deeper analysis, but no one was overly concerned. Some thought it was sensor interference caused by Jupiter's magnetic field. Others believed it was just data noise. After all, the mission was supposed to be peaceful. Who would hide during a moment like this? The idea of a trap seemed impossible. Still, the technician in charge kept watching. The strange distortions appeared again, slightly stronger this time. They formed a faint outline behind the alien ship, something massive just beyond sight. He hesitated to report it directly, afraid of causing panic during such a historic moment. But eventually he whispered to the communications officer to send a quiet message back to Earth Command. It was short and cautious. Unidentified mass detected near alien vessel. Request confirmation. No one outside that small team knew. The rest of the crew continued their tasks, exchanging signals, recording data, and sharing updates with Earth. The world below celebrated. Streets filled with lights, fireworks, and songs of peace. People said humanity had finally grown beyond war. Children were told they would live in a universe where other beings could be friends. Inside the Aurora, the view of Jupiter glowed softly in the background while the alien ship floated ahead, its lights pulsing like a calm heartbeat. Everything seemed perfect, almost too perfect. The silence between the transmissions was deep, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. As the hours passed, fatigue began to settle in. Some crew members drifted to rest. Others watched the monitors with tired eyes. The alien ship continued sending slow waves of blue light, rhythmic and gentle. The data streams were steady. Every human heart aboard felt a quiet pride. They were the first to prove that peace beyond Earth was possible. And yet, somewhere in that vast emptiness, something else was awake, silent, unseen, and waiting. The faint echoes on the scanner flickered one last time, but no one noticed. The technician who had been watching finally leaned back in his chair, rubbing his eyes, telling himself it was nothing. Outside, the alien ship hovered motionless, like a mirror reflecting human hope back at them. Far across the Earth, celebrations continued through the night. News anchors repeated the same words again and again. Humanity has made peaceful contact. It became the most repeated sentence in human history. But above that celebration, in the cold vacuum near Jupiter, something vast was hiding in the shadows just beyond detection. It watched silently, its dark hull absorbing all light, waiting for a moment only it knew would come. For now, no one suspected anything. Not the crew, not the scientists, not the billions watching on Earth. The dream of peace held strong. The human heart wanted to believe. But in the endless stillness of space, the truth was waiting, quiet, patient, and ready to shatter everything humanity believed in. The first night after contact, no one on the Aurora Dawn slept properly. Every mind was awake with excitement, fear, and disbelief. Some crew members sat by the observation windows for hours, staring at the alien vessel. It floated silently ahead, glowing softly like a living sculpture. Its light patterns had slowed, becoming more gentle, as if it were resting after the long exchange of messages. The humans didn't know if that was a good sign or a bad one. The command deck stayed busy. Scientists continued decoding the alien patterns while the communication officers tried to build a dictionary of symbols. Each color, each rhythm might mean something different. One of them noticed that a certain blue pattern repeated every hour. It could mean peace or maybe waiting. They couldn't be sure. Every discovery brought more questions. Earth Command sent new instructions. They wanted to test mutual understanding through visuals. The Aurora Dawn projected holograms into space, images of mountains, oceans, trees, and finally, a small child holding a globe. The crew waited nervously to see how the aliens would respond. After a long silence, the alien ship replied. Its lights shifted rapidly, forming a bright spiral pattern, then a circle. The scientists cheered. The pattern seemed friendly, like an answer saying, "We understand." For a brief moment, everyone on board smiled. They felt like they were making history. Back on Earth, the images were broadcast live. People in every city stopped what they were doing just to watch. Streets grew quiet, as if the whole planet was holding its breath. It wasn't just a scientific event anymore. It was emotional. Families hugged, teachers cried in classrooms, and leaders gave speeches about unity. Humanity had always looked up to the stars with curiosity. Now the stars had finally looked back. But not everyone felt the same peace. A few of the Aurora's officers, trained in deep space security, stayed uneasy. The alien ship was massive, almost 20 times the size of their own. It could easily hide dozens of compartments, or even smaller ships inside. The commander requested deeper scans, but the results came back unclear. Some readings were blocked by energy interference. It was strange. Normally, any object that size should have clear signatures: heat, radiation, power cores, but here, half the data was missing. They tried to ask the aliens about it through symbols, but the answer they received was vague, just a repeat of the same blue spiral. The scientists interpreted it as reassurance. The commander wasn't so sure. He didn't share his doubts with the entire crew. There was no point in spreading fear during such a delicate moment. Hours passed quietly. The alien ship released what looked like small spheres, metallic orbs that glided around slowly, shining with white light. They circled both ships at a safe distance. The Aurora's crew believed they were observation drones, maybe recording or studying them. Some crew members waved through the windows, laughing nervously, as if trying to show friendliness. But the sensors picked up something strange. The spheres weren't only observing, they were scanning. Their light beams moved in perfect lines, measuring the Aurora's structure, its size, its shields, and its weak points. The crew didn't know that yet. Only the main control room saw the readings. The technician monitoring the data froze when he saw the intensity of the scan. It wasn't the kind used for communication or analysis. It was the kind used for targeting. He whispered to his superior quietly, trying not to sound alarmed. The commander told him to double-check before reporting. Maybe it was a misread signal. Maybe the aliens just didn't realize how it looked. Still, he told the weapons team to stay alert, silently, without public announcement. Outside the window, the alien drones kept drifting peacefully. Their lights shimmered softly like fireflies. Nothing looked dangerous. The humans wanted to believe it was all harmless curiosity. As the second day began, Earth Command sent an order to prepare for a formal introduction ceremony. A message of peace was ready to transmit, humanity's official greeting to the new civilization. The crew cleaned the main observation deck, set up broadcast equipment, and prepared to show the Earth flag. The plan was to transmit greetings in multiple human languages, followed by symbols of friendship. The alien ship seemed to respond positively. Its lights pulsed brighter than before, spreading out like wings across the surface. Cameras on board captured the beautiful display, sending the images back to Earth. Millions watched live as the two ships faced each other across the darkness of space. Human technology on one side, alien mystery on the other. The transmission began. A calm human voice spoke the words that had been chosen carefully by leaders from every nation. We come in peace. We reach across the stars to build friendship and understanding. May our meeting mark the beginning of harmony between our worlds. The message repeated in different languages, followed by a simple musical tone designed to show warmth and unity. Then they waited for the alien reply. At first, nothing happened. The alien ship's lights dimmed slightly, then returned. A deep vibration rippled through space. Not sound, but a pulse that shook the Aurora's instruments. The crew leaned closer to their screens, waiting for the next pattern. Slowly, new shapes appeared, but this time they were sharper, faster, less rhythmic. The communication officers frowned. It didn't match the earlier peace patterns. It looked like a completely different language. The scientists tried to translate, but the meaning made no sense. It was structured, yes, but filled with unknown data. The pulse repeated, each wave stronger than before. Then suddenly, one of the small alien spheres moved closer to the Aurora than allowed. The ship's proximity alarms triggered instantly. The drone was too close. The commander ordered it to back off using a warning light signal, red flashes in a specific pattern that meant danger zone. The alien sphere stopped, rotated once, then retreated. The alarm quieted. Everyone exhaled. Maybe it was just a misunderstanding. Maybe the alien pilot had made a mistake. The peace ceremony continued, but something in the air had changed. The laughter faded. The excitement felt thinner, replaced by tension. The crew kept glancing at the alien ship, wondering what it was doing, wondering if the change in light meant something more than they thought. Hours later, Earth Command sent another order to move slightly closer and attempt physical data transfer through light beam transmission. The Aurora adjusted its thrusters and began drifting toward the alien ship, closing the gap by a few hundred kilometers. The alien ship didn't react, at least not immediately. Inside the control room, one of the analysts ran a background scan again just to be sure. The strange energy distortions from before were still there, faint but definitely not gone. He zoomed in on the readings and noticed something chilling. The distortions were moving. They weren't random static fields. They were following both ships from a distance, hidden behind the glare of Jupiter's reflected light. He reported it quietly. The commander ordered all systems to be checked, including defense and shields. It was done silently, while the communication team continued smiling for the cameras, unaware of the growing tension in the background. Then, something changed again. The alien lights dimmed almost completely, leaving only a faint blue glow. The communication stopped altogether. The humans waited, sending polite inquiry signals. No response. Minutes turned into an hour. Still nothing. The silence was heavy. The commander contacted Earth, but the transmission delay made real-time guidance impossible. Earth Command replied with simple instructions. Stay calm, do not provoke, maintain observation. The alien ship remained still. The spheres that once floated around had vanished, returning somewhere into its structure. The Aurora's crew could only stare at the black hull glowing faintly against the distant sunlight. One of the younger crew members whispered that maybe the aliens were resting, maybe their systems were recharging. Others agreed. They didn't want to imagine anything else. Hope was easier to believe than danger. Far away on Earth, the celebrations continued. News anchors still spoke of peace, replaying the earlier footage. No one knew that communication had stopped. The delay between Earth and Jupiter meant that, by the time they received updates, hours had already passed. Inside the Aurora, time slowed. The stars outside looked sharper, colder. Even small sounds, the hum of engines, the soft buzz of monitors, felt louder. The sense of wonder was still there, but it was starting to mix with something heavier. Late in the shift, the technician who had noticed the strange readings earlier decided to check one last time before resting. What he saw made him freeze. The distortion was gone, not because it had disappeared, but because it was no longer behind them. It had moved. It was now directly above their position. He opened his mouth to speak, but before he could, the communication panel blinked with a sudden burst of light. The alien ship's lights flashed once, a single sharp pulse, then went completely dark. No one said a word. The quiet inside the ship was absolute. They didn't know it yet, but something was about to change forever. The peace they had built with so much hope was hanging by a single thread, and in the shadows above them, something enormous was beginning to wake. The Aurora Dawn floated silently near Jupiter's orbit, surrounded by endless black. The alien ship ahead of it had gone completely dark. No light, no signal, no sound. For hours, the crew waited, confused and tense. Every screen in the control room showed the same thing, a still image of the massive alien vessel hanging in space like a shadow. The commander stood quietly, staring at it. Around him, crew members whispered in low voices. Some thought the aliens were resetting their systems. Others said maybe they were testing them. No one really knew. All the communication codes they had tried sending went unanswered. The once beautiful blue patterns that filled everyone with hope had vanished. Earth Command sent one message after another, but even their instructions sounded unsure. Continue monitoring. Do not provoke. Wait for visual confirmation. Easy words to say from a planet 500 million kilometers away. Waiting was the hardest thing in space. Every minute felt like an hour. Inside the Aurora, people tried to stay busy. Engineers checked power lines and sensors. Communication officers replayed old alien signals again and again, hoping to find a hidden meaning. The food hall stayed mostly empty. No one had much appetite. The silence outside felt heavy, almost alive. Then, during one of the routine scans, a faint pulse appeared on the radar, not from the alien ship, but from somewhere else. A small echo at first, then another. It looked like something was moving behind Jupiter's faint rings. The radar operator zoomed in and frowned. The reading didn't match any known object. It wasn't an asteroid. It wasn't debris. It was organized in something large with a shape. He tried adjusting the filter and suddenly the outline appeared clearer. It was massive, darker than anything he had ever seen, absorbing almost all radar signals. The operator's voice shook as he reported the reading to the commander. The bridge fell silent. Everyone leaned closer to the main screen as the data came through. Whatever it was almost invisible, like it was made to hide. The commander ordered all external sensors to full power. The ship's scanning system sent waves of light through the black space. For a few seconds, nothing came back. Then slowly, an image began to form. Faint lines, curves, and a surface that stretched for kilometers. It wasn't a rock or a fragment. It was something built. A cold feeling ran through everyone on the bridge. The technician whispered what everyone was thinking. It's a ship. No one moved for a moment. They stared at the ghostly outline of the structure, barely visible in the dark. It was parked behind a small cluster of asteroids hidden from direct sight. The shape was strange. Sharp edges, long towers, heavy plating. It looked nothing like the peaceful alien ship in front of them. The commander didn't want to believe it. He ordered a second scan to confirm. The readings were the same. A giant vessel was sitting there, motionless, blocking its own signals with some kind of cloaking field. They sent a short-coded alert to Earth Command, but the transmission would take nearly an hour to reach. They were on their own until then. The atmosphere inside the Aurora changed completely. Gone was the joy, the hope, the excitement. Now there was only the low hum of machinery and the quiet sound of nervous breathing. The crew moved carefully, speaking in hushed tones. The commander ordered no sudden movement, no bright light emissions, and no open transmissions. They didn't want to draw attention. Minutes passed like lifetimes. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the sensors. The hidden ship stayed still, but it was close enough that any sudden motion could reveal them. The alien vessel ahead of them remained dark, unmoving. It was like both ships were waiting for something unseen. Then faintly, the alien ship's lights flickered back on. Not fully, just a few glowing lines across its surface. The communication team gasped, thinking it was trying to reconnect. The lights formed patterns again. But they were different this time. fast, harsh, almost like warnings. The linguists tried to decode them quickly, but before they could finish, a second pulse appeared. Not from the alien ship, but from the hidden one behind the asteroids. It was stronger, deeper, like thunder without sound. The sensors blinked and the radar went blank for a moment as if it had been jammed. The crew felt a tremor through the hull. It wasn't a hit, just a wave of energy passing through space. Everyone froze. The commander ordered shields to minimum power. Enough to stay safe, but not enough to look threatening. The alien ship in front suddenly shifted position, rotating slightly. Its movements were smooth, calculated. It was no longer drifting. It was maneuvering. The hidden vessel behind the asteroids began to move too. Slowly, the asteroids around it scattered, revealing more of its enormous frame. As it came into view, the crew finally saw it for what it was: a warship. Its surface was black and silver, layered with armor that shimmered in the faint light of Jupiter. Along its sides were hundreds of narrow slits like weapon ports. It was easily 10 times the size of the Aurora Dawn. No one spoke. Even breathing felt too loud. The commander whispered for all crew to stay calm and prepare emergency protocols. The alien ship ahead continued its light signals, but now the patterns looked frantic, almost like a conversation happening between the two alien vessels. One peaceful, one armed. The humans didn't understand the meaning, but they understood the feeling. Something had gone wrong. This was no longer a meeting between explorers and diplomats. This was something else. In the communication room, one of the analysts caught a fragment of coded energy between the two alien ships. It wasn't in any language they had studied. It wasn't symbolic. It was short-range encrypted transmission, tactical frequency. The realization hit everyone at once. The peaceful ship wasn't communicating with humanity anymore. It was reporting to the hidden battleship. The commander's calm voice filled the bridge. Silent mode. No signals. Full observation. The crew obeyed instantly. Lights on the Aurora dimmed and external transmissions shut down. The ship now drifted quietly, trying not to be noticed. Outside, the hidden ship completed its turn, facing directly toward the Aurora. The peaceful vessel stayed in position, its blue lights flickering faster and faster. To the human eye, it almost looked like it was sending warnings. Desperate, repeating, urgent. The technicians whispered theories. Maybe the first alien ship wasn't the enemy. Maybe it was forced to lead humanity into a trap. Maybe it was being controlled. No one knew. But every second that passed made the truth clearer. This wasn't just a visit. It was a setup. Earth Command finally responded, their message filled with urgency. Maintain distance. Do not engage. Backup fleet on standby. But that message came too late. The hidden battleship had already powered up. The Aurora's scanners detected a rise in energy levels. Massive power surges from deep inside the alien hull. Its dark surface began to glow faintly with red lines. The sensors screamed warnings, unable to identify the type of energy. The commander ordered full defensive shields online, but only at partial strength. They didn't want to appear hostile, yet they couldn't risk staying exposed. The crew scrambled, rushing through corridors, sealing compartments, preparing escape pods just in case. The tension was unbearable. Outside the window, the stars flickered strangely. The hidden ship's cloak had fully dropped now, revealing its brutal structure: heavy wings, rotating towers, and glowing cores. It didn't look like something built for peace. It looked like something built to erase anything in its way. Then, for a brief second, everything went quiet again. Even the alarms stopped. The alien ship in front sent one last burst of blue light toward the humans, a pattern so bright it nearly blinded the sensors. No one could decode it, but it felt like a warning. A heartbeat later, a wave of energy burst from the hidden battleship. It wasn't an attack, not yet, but a scan so strong it made every metal panel on the Aurora vibrate. Lights flickered, systems glitched, and the crew clutched their seats as the ship shook, and then, through the viewports, they saw something terrifying. On the hull of the hidden ship, panels were opening, dozens of them, revealing rows of long, narrow objects inside. The commander didn't need to ask what they were. Even in silence, everyone knew. The peaceful first contact was over. What began as humanity's greatest moment was turning into a nightmare. As the red light spread across the alien battleship's surface, the crew realized the truth. They were not guests in the unknown. They were surrounded. The hidden ship had finally revealed itself, and its silence spoke louder than any word ever could. The hidden battleship now stood in the open, its massive dark surface reflecting faint light from Jupiter. No one on the Aurora Dawn spoke. The crew stared through the windows, frozen, their hearts beating faster with every second. The once calm and silent part of space now felt dangerous, like a storm waiting to strike. The alien ship that had promised peace still floated quietly in front of them, its blue lights flashing in short, sharp bursts. The communication team kept trying to decode the message, but the signals were too fast, too complex. It was as if the peaceful ship was trying to speak in panic, warning them about something. The commander finally broke the silence. He ordered the crew to stay calm, no sudden moves, no transmissions. "We don't know what they want yet," he said softly. "Let's not give them a reason." His voice was steady, but inside everyone could sense the fear. The hidden warship's outer plates began shifting slowly, exposing rows of glowing vents. The radar systems showed massive power spikes. Whatever it was preparing, it wasn't just scanning anymore. The crew watched in disbelief as the warship turned its entire body slightly toward the Aurora. Its movement was smooth but heavy, like a giant waking up after a long sleep. Inside the ship, the control room filled with red warning lights. The engineers shouted out energy readings that kept climbing higher. The commander gave quiet orders. "Raise shields to minimal strength, power engines for emergency retreat, but do not aim any weapon." The ship had no intention of fighting. They were explorers, not soldiers. The communication officers kept trying to reach the peaceful alien vessel. They sent a repeating signal, a simple message meaning, "We do not wish to fight." The alien ship responded with a short blue pulse, but it didn't stop the battleship's growing power. The tension grew unbearable. Every person aboard the Aurora could feel it, that invisible pressure before something terrible happens. Some closed their eyes, praying quietly. Others gripped their seats, staring at the view outside, refusing to blink. Suddenly, the battleship released a deep vibration that shook the Aurora's sensors. It wasn't a weapon, but it was strong enough to make every light flicker. The technicians shouted that the communication link to Earth had been jammed. They were completely cut off. The commander stood silent for a long moment. Then he gave the order to back away slowly, using low thrust so it wouldn't be seen as aggression. The engines hummed softly as the Aurora began to drift backward. The peaceful alien ship flashed again, brighter this time, its light sequences fast and repetitive, as if it was trying to stop them. No one understood what it meant, but the crew felt an ache in their chests. It looked like the aliens were trying to say, "Don't move. Don't run. But why?" The radar operator gasped. The hidden battleship had started to move again, straight toward them. Its speed was slow but constant. The asteroid field that had once hidden it was now scattered apart by its engines. Pieces of rock and ice spun across space like debris. The ship's hull glowed red in long vertical lines, each one pulsing like a heartbeat. The commander ordered full visual recorders on. "If we don't make it," he said quietly, "Earth needs to know what happened." His voice trembled slightly, but no one questioned him. Everyone knew the truth. They might be the first humans to see this and possibly the last. The hidden warship kept advancing. The peaceful vessel between them seemed to move too, positioning itself slightly in the way like a shield. It was a small gesture, but it didn't stop the larger ship. The crew of the Aurora watched helplessly as the alien vessels faced each other, silent and unreadable. The communication officers noticed something strange. The peaceful ship's blue lights were turning red at the edges, slowly like ink spreading through water. The translator software couldn't explain it. The signals coming from both alien ships now overlapped, merging into a pattern too complex to read. One of the engineers whispered, "They're arguing." No one laughed or disagreed. It was the only thing that made sense. The peaceful ship was trying to stop the warship from doing something. Seconds later, the hidden ship's outer panels snapped shut again. Its glow dimmed. The tension on the Aurora eased slightly. Maybe it was backing down. But then the sensors screamed again. The ship's energy signature didn't vanish. It changed. It shifted to a different type, sharper, focused. A cold chill ran through the bridge. The commander whispered, "That's not a retreat. That's targeting." The crew sprang into action. Shields were raised fully. engines powered to maximum, and emergency beacons activated, though no one knew if they would ever reach Earth. The Aurora's engines roared softly, pushing it backward faster, and then the moment came. The hidden battleship opened a single panel near its center. A deep red glow formed inside it, spinning like molten light. The sensors overloaded instantly. The engineers shouted warnings. Massive energy buildup detected. The commander gave the order, "Evasive maneuver, now." The Aurora turned sharply, thrusters firing at full power. A bright flash lit up the darkness, and for a split second, space itself seemed to tremble. A blinding beam of energy shot out from the hidden warship. Fast, silent, unstoppable. It missed the Aurora by a small margin, but destroyed one of its communication satellites instantly. The debris scattered in glowing fragments. Everyone on board froze. The first shot had been fired. The peaceful alien ship's lights flared to full brightness, filling the entire area with blue and white. The pattern flashed again and again, faster than before. It wasn't talking to the humans anymore. It was screaming at the warship. The crew didn't know what it meant, but they didn't need translation. It was fear, desperation. The hidden battleship stopped firing. It held its position, energy still glowing faintly. The peaceful vessel moved closer to it, as if confronting it. The humans watched in awe as the two alien ships stood face to face, lights flashing wildly between them. A silent battle of will. Inside the Aurora, the crew tried to repair the damaged systems. Communication was still down, but power remained stable. No one knew if they should stay or run. The commander hesitated, torn between the mission's goal and the instinct to survive. After long minutes of chaos, the peaceful ship finally turned toward the Aurora again. Its blue lights dimmed to a softer glow. It sent one short signal, 3 pulses of light evenly spaced. The humans recorded it carefully, not knowing what it meant. Then the alien ship slowly backed away, moving between the Aurora and the hidden battleship. The massive dark ship didn't move this time. It just stayed there, like a predator waiting in silence. For the next hour, nothing happened. No light, no message, no attack. The Aurora drifted slowly, its engines quiet. The crew stared through the glass, exhausted but unable to look away. They knew something big had just happened, something that wasn't over yet. When Earth Command finally broke through the interference, their voices were filled with panic. They had received fragments of the earlier transmission, the images of the hidden battleship, the energy readings, and the first beam of light. Every control center on Earth went into alert. Humanity had just witnessed the end of peace. The commander's final message before the line cut again was simple. "We're alive, but they're not done." Hours later, the battleship began to move again, slowly drifting away toward the outer dark, as if retreating to its hiding place. The peaceful ship followed it for a distance, then stopped. The humans watched in silence as its blue lights dimmed again, leaving only faint traces. The crew didn't celebrate their survival. There was no victory, just relief, and a growing fear that this was only the beginning. Back on Earth, scientists replayed the footage 1,000 times, trying to understand what had happened. Some said the aliens had fought among themselves. Others believed it was a warning, a test to see how humans would react under pressure. But no one had real answers. The only thing everyone agreed on was this: first contact was not what they hoped for. It wasn't friendship. It wasn't cooperation. It was something darker, a reminder that the universe could be as cold and unpredictable as space itself. The Aurora Dawn stayed near Jupiter for 2 more days, waiting for orders. But deep inside every crew member, something had changed. They no longer looked at the stars with wonder. They looked with caution. The first shot hadn't destroyed them, but it had destroyed their innocence. The dream of peaceful first contact had been shattered, not by words, but by silence, by power, and by the shadow of a ship that should never have been there. As the Aurora turned back toward Earth, the last message from the peaceful alien ship flickered again in the distance. 3 short pulses of blue light fading into darkness. No one knew what it meant. Maybe it was goodbye. Maybe it was a warning. Either way, humanity would never forget the day peace vanished among the stars. The Aurora Dawn was returning home, but the journey didn't feel like a return. The silence inside the ship was heavier than space itself. Every corridor echoed with quiet footsteps and whispers. No one joked, no one smiled. The crew kept busy repairing what was left damaged. But their minds were far away, still stuck in that moment when the hidden battleship appeared from the dark. For hours, the commander sat in the observation deck staring at the stars. The light from Jupiter faded behind them, and ahead the endless black stretched toward Earth. He had seen many things in his years among the stars, but never anything like that. Not the size of the ship, not the strange lights, not the way the peaceful alien vessel had tried to stand between them. It wasn't just technology. It was behavior. It was emotion. The analyst replayed the recorded signals again and again. Those 3 blue pulses from the smaller alien ship were now the center of every discussion. What did they mean? Was it a message, a warning, or just an accident? The translation programs couldn't decode them. Even the brightest minds back on Earth couldn't agree. Some of the crew thought it meant safe. Others believed it meant leave. But a few had a darker guess. Run. Days passed, but no one relaxed. The engineers ran system checks every hour. The sensors kept scanning for any unknown movement. The fear of the hidden ship returning never left their thoughts. Every flicker of light, every small signal, made their hearts jump. Then something strange happened. While crossing the outer edge of Saturn's orbit, the Aurora detected a faint echo, a signal repeating in the same pattern as the blue pulses. It was weak, barely noticeable, but it matched perfectly. It wasn't coming from behind them. It was ahead, near Earth's direction. When the data reached the command room, the atmosphere shifted. If the signal was the same, it meant one of 2 things. Either the peaceful alien ship was following them, or something else was already near Earth sending that same message. The commander ordered the crew to verify it. The communication team spent hours analyzing the signal. It wasn't random noise. It was deliberate, controlled, and repeating at precise intervals. The same 3 pulses, same timing. No one knew whether to feel comforted or alarmed, the scientists argued. Some said it was a sign of friendship, the aliens trying to keep contact. Others warned it could be a trap. The hidden battleship might be tracking them, using the signal as bait. In the middle of that debate, the commander stood up and said quietly, "No assumptions. We focus on facts." His calm voice brought silence again. The fact was simple. They weren't alone anymore. As they drew closer to Earth, the command center back home grew restless. News of the encounter had already spread, though most of the details were still classified. But rumors had reached the public. People across the planet looked to the night sky differently now. Some were afraid. Others were hopeful. Everyone had questions. Earth Command had sent multiple ships to meet Aurora halfway, but the crew still felt uneasy. The universe had shown its true face. Not hostile, not friendly, just unpredictable. Late one night, one of the technicians on duty noticed something odd on the screen. The signal ahead of them had changed slightly. The 3 pulses were now followed by a pause, then 2 more faint ones. The rhythm was slower, almost like breathing. She recorded the data and played it over the speakers. The sound filled the room, soft beeps echoing in the silence. It was haunting, almost like a heartbeat. Everyone listened quietly. There was no logic in it, yet it felt intentional. Alive, one of the analysts whispered. "Maybe they're trying to talk again." The commander nodded slowly. "Maybe," he said, "but what if they're warning us?" No one replied. By the next morning, the signal had grown stronger. It was clear now. It wasn't coming from the peaceful ship. It was too stable, too structured. And the source wasn't moving. It was fixed near the edge of the moon. The words "near the moon" froze everyone. If something that massive was that close, Earth might already be in danger. The Aurora's sensors detected a faint shadow, a distortion in space, almost invisible. But it was there. Something large, something cloaked. The commander ordered immediate deceleration and visual magnification. The cameras zoomed in on the region near the moon. What appeared at first looked like a dark cloud, but then the shape began to outline itself. Massive, curved, silent. The same type of hidden battleship they had seen before. It was waiting. The crew's fear returned instantly. They had barely survived the first encounter, and now there was another one, right near their home. The commander's voice was calm but tight. "Activate silent mode. No transmission, no lights. We watch only." The Aurora drifted quietly, hiding among space debris. The crew watched as the dark silhouette near the moon began to shift slowly. its outline glimmering under faint sunlight. It was enormous, larger than any human ship. Then something unexpected happened. Another signal appeared, this time from a different direction, weaker but familiar. It was the peaceful alien ship. The same blue light pattern. The two signals, one from the hidden ship and one from the peaceful one, now overlapped again, just like before. The same tension returned. It was happening again, this time near Earth. The command room erupted into controlled chaos. Earth Command was alerted immediately, and within minutes, defense satellites began tracking the object near the moon. The planet was preparing for something no one understood. Inside the Aurora, the crew watched as the peaceful ship approached the Dark One. It positioned itself between the hidden battleship and Earth, just like before. Its blue lights flashed in urgent bursts, faster and brighter than before. The translation system tried to decode, but the speed was too high. The only readable pattern it produced was a repeating sequence meaning "stand down." The hidden warship didn't respond. Instead, its panels began to glow again with that deep red energy. Everyone in the Aurora felt it. That same vibration through space. It was the same sound, the same threat, the same moment repeating itself. Earth Command ordered immediate action. Defense ships began to move toward the moon. But deep down, the commander knew human weapons would mean nothing here. If that ship wanted to destroy, it could do so in seconds. Then the peaceful ship did something no one expected. It moved forward, directly into the path of the hidden warship's glowing core. It was blocking it again, just like before. But this time there was no hesitation. The Aurora's sensors went wild. The energy levels between the two ships spiked to impossible levels. It was like a storm of light. The crew shielded their eyes as space outside lit up in blinding colors. Blue, red, and white twisting together. The entire sky seemed to ripple. Then everything went silent. When the light faded, the hidden battleship was gone. Only faint debris and static energy remained. The peaceful ship was still there, but dim, its blue glow flickering weakly. It looked damaged, drifting slowly away from the moon. Earth Command sent messages, but there was no reply. The Aurora tried to reach it directly, sending the same 3 blue pulses it had recorded earlier. For a brief moment, the alien ship responded, one last soft pulse of light, then it disappeared into the shadows. The control room was quiet. No one spoke for a long time. The commander stood still, looking at the screen. He didn't feel victory, just awe and sadness. The peaceful ship had stopped the threat again, but at what cost? Earth was safe for now, but the questions only grew. Who were they? Why did they protect humanity? And what were they protecting them from? As the Aurora slowly approached Earth, the sight of the blue planet filled everyone with emotion. Home had never looked so precious. The crew knew they had seen something the rest of humanity couldn't imagine. And though they survived, none of them would ever look at the night sky the same way again. That night, as the ship orbited Earth, the commander made one final log entry. His words were simple, almost whispered. First contact was never meant to be peaceful, but something chose to protect us. I don't know why, but I hope we're worth it. He looked out the window one last time. Far beyond the stars, a faint blue flicker shimmered for a moment, and then vanished completely. The universe was silent once more, but this time, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt like a promise. Earth was safe, but peace didn't feel real. The Aurora Dawn had returned home, yet every person on board carried invisible weight. Their eyes no longer looked at space with excitement, but with quiet fear and respect. They had seen power beyond imagination, not from humans, but from something that had stepped in when humanity couldn't defend itself. As the ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, the planet looked peaceful. Blue oceans, white clouds, and golden light touching the continents. It was beautiful, yet for the crew it now looked fragile. The commander stood silently near the viewing glass, his reflection half lost in the glow. For the first time, he truly understood how small Earth was compared to the vastness they had faced. When the Aurora landed, the world watched. Cameras broadcasted their return everywhere, cities, villages, schools. People cheered, thinking it was a moment of triumph. They didn't know the full story. They only knew that Earth had survived. Inside the debriefing room, the atmosphere was heavy. Scientists, military leaders, and analysts filled every seat. The crew was asked to share every detail, from the first contact near Jupiter to the final moment near the moon. Every signal, every flicker of light, every sound was replayed and examined. When the recording of the peaceful ship's final pulse played, that soft blue flicker before disappearing, the room went completely silent. Everyone felt it. It wasn't just a transmission. It felt like a farewell. For weeks, experts from across the world studied the data. They built models, ran simulations, tried to decode the light patterns, but the alien signals didn't fit any known logic. The 3 blue pulses followed by 2 faint ones remained a mystery. Some said it was their way of saying safe now. Others thought it meant they'll return. The commander didn't speak much during those sessions. He simply listened, replaying the events in his mind. He couldn't shake the image of the peaceful ship placing itself between the hidden warship and Earth. That moment had changed him. It wasn't just technology that saved them. It was choice. The smaller ship had chosen to stand in harm's way. Months passed and life on Earth slowly went back to normal. But the universe outside was not quiet. Strange readings began to appear again in deep space. Faint energy signatures like echoes of what had happened. They appeared briefly and then vanished. Some scientists believed they were remnants of the destroyed warship's energy field. Others thought the peaceful ship had left beacons behind, silent watchers keeping an eye on Earth. The world's governments built a new program, Project Sentinel. Its purpose was to monitor the skies constantly. The Aurora's crew was part of it, helping to design systems that could track even the faintest signals. They knew what could be hiding out there now. During one of those late monitoring shifts, a quiet signal came through, almost identical to the one they had heard before. 3 pulses, a pause, 2 softer ones. It wasn't strong, but it was there. It came from far beyond Pluto, near the edge of the solar system. When the commander heard it, he didn't panic. Instead, he smiled faintly. "They're watching," he said softly. They didn't leave. Earth Command debated for days whether to respond. Some feared that answering might attract attention again. Others argued that silence was disrespectful, that maybe the peaceful beings wanted communication. Finally, the decision was made. A small coded message was sent, a simple pulse pattern matching the one from the alien ship. 3 bright flashes of light, then 2. No words, just imitation. Hours passed. Nothing happened. Then slowly the signal repeated back. The same rhythm. Perfectly timed. The control room erupted in emotion. It wasn't fear this time. It was wonder. Humanity had just received a reply. The signal continued for a few minutes, then faded again. But it was enough. The proof was undeniable. They were still out there, still aware of Earth, still watching. In the months that followed, Earth changed. The memory of the hidden battleship's power made nations unite in ways never seen before. The fear of the unknown brought cooperation. There were no borders in space anymore. Only one home, one species, learning to protect itself together. New missions were planned, but carefully this time. The Aurora was rebuilt with better sensors and defensive systems. Humanity wasn't preparing for war. It was preparing to understand. One evening, the commander visited the Space Museum where the Aurora's damaged communication panel was displayed. It still bore the burn marks from that first encounter, a silent reminder of what they had survived. Children stood around it, listening to guides talk about the first contact. They smiled with awe, imagining heroes and adventure. He smiled too, but differently. He knew the truth wasn't about heroism. It was about humility, about realizing how small yet how precious humanity was. That night, as he stood under the open sky, he looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, those beings were watching, maybe even protecting. The world below was peaceful. But he knew peace was a fragile thing. It existed because someone, somewhere, chose to defend it. Years later, when the commander retired, humanity had already launched new observation posts deep into space. One of them, positioned near the orbit of Neptune, captured something unexpected, a small object drifting slowly, reflecting faint blue light. When examined closely, it wasn't debris or rock. It was smooth, shaped like a shard of metal, alien yet familiar. Scientists brought it back carefully. Its surface was covered in strange symbols glowing faintly. The symbols pulsed 3 times, paused, then twice. The same message again. It was placed under heavy protection, but it gave everyone the same feeling, a quiet reassurance that humanity was not forgotten. That single piece of alien metal became a symbol of unity. People all over the world called it the Guardian Shard. No one could explain how it survived or why it appeared so close to human space. But the meaning was clear. The beings that once stood between humanity and destruction had left a reminder, a promise that they were still watching from the dark. Over time, human scientists learned something else. The strange energy signature from the shard wasn't fading. It was steady, almost like a heartbeat. Some believed it was still connected to something or someone far away. Space agencies decided to send one last message to it. A pulse signal in the same rhythm, 3, pause 2. For days there was no reply. Then one quiet evening, as the world slept, observatories across Earth detected a faint flicker in the night sky. A soft blue glow appeared just above the edge of the atmosphere, barely visible but unmistakable. It pulsed 3 times. Paused, then twice. The world held its breath. People came out of their homes to look. Cameras pointed to the sky. There were no words, no speeches, no panic, just silence and awe. Then the glow faded slowly, leaving behind a peaceful stillness. From that night onward, humanity's fear turned into curiosity. The hidden battleship was never seen again, but its memory remained as a warning. A reminder that power without reason brings destruction. The peaceful beings, on the other hand, became a symbol of hope, proof that even in the vast, cold universe there were protectors, watchers, maybe even friends. The commander, now older, spent his final years teaching young explorers. He often told them that the universe was not to be conquered, but understood. Space doesn't belong to anyone, he would say. It belongs to those who respect it. Every year, on the same night when the blue light had last appeared, people around the world gathered to look up at the stars. They called it the night of first contact. They didn't celebrate war or fear. They celebrated peace, the fragile, precious kind that had almost been lost but was saved in silence by something greater than themselves. And somewhere, far beyond human reach, in a place no telescope could see, a faint blue light drifted quietly through the void, still watching, still protecting, still remembering the small planet it once stood for. Because even across endless darkness, the choice to protect never truly fades.